All right, guys, welcome to Live Fully. Thank you for those who are joining tonight. I know we've been off for a couple of weeks. Some things have come up schedule-wise, and so I'm super excited to be back. And first, I just wanted to share a little bit of news. I have been a little less present in the Live Fully group as well as just on Facebook in general because I have accepted a position with Truesome Visions, which is the parent company of Growth U. And Growth U is Rod Hairston's company who put together the Healthy Mind and Body program for Isagenix. So if you haven't seen him or don't know, haven't taken that program, you might not know who he is, but what is happening is Growth U is actually going to be rolling out what they're calling global asset programs. And they're going to be really similar to the Healthy Mind and Body program for Isagenix, where it's like online coaching and education. They have programs where they actually have live advisor calls. So just really like amazingly priced education programs that are going to be focused towards all different areas of your life. So there will be ones that are focused on health, ones that are focused on relationships, ones that are focused on finances. There's one for youth leadership. So, I mean, like tons of different categories of life where they're putting these online education programs together. And I have been hired to write books for these programs. So like full-length books. Yay! I know, it's just like a dream come true. Writing has been in my vision for years. And I've been doing a lot of it and doing editing as well, but never really saw how that could become an income for me. And then this opportunity came along, and the group of people is just, they're amazing, and they're already integrated with Isagenix, and it couldn't be a more perfect fit. So my apologies for being a little more absent than normally as far as Live Fully is concerned. But here's what I wanted to talk about tonight is that as part of going through, so last week we didn't have the call because I was on an event with Growth U where we were actually filming to produce videos for these online education programs. And so it was like 4 days of straight like panels and interviews and actually building content for these online programs. And so as part of that, what I was learning is one of the things that's really important to this company and other companies under the umbrella is called cultural isms. And so they handed out this little thing on a little ring, and there's like 10 different isms. And it's basically just kind of like standard Growth U isms, standards that they go by. And these are becoming really popular. If you guys Google them, you'll find like some of the biggest, most progressive corporations out there are actually implementing these cultural isms. And so it's just a way for everyone to really kind of come together around like, who are we as a company? What do we believe in? What are the standards that we want to live by to create culture? And so one of the things that I wanted to share on these isms, the one I wanted to talk about tonight is called Live It, Breathe It, Show It. And it's all about well-being. And I thought about Live Fully because I wanted to get some participation. And Tracy, if you have, something to say, you can like write it in the chat if you're still don't have audio. But I'm just going to share my screen really quick, and so that we can kind of read through it together. And I want you to just pay attention to the words and see what stands out to you from just kind of a well-being perspective. And whether it's about like your health, your nutrition, your habits, your mindset, like there's a lot of things that came up for me that I was like, ooh, wow, like, am I really doing this? So I think it'll be challenging But I just wanted to see what kind of feedback you guys had. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right, can you guys see it? Okay, cool. So this is the little logo that they have. So I'll go ahead and read it slowly. Well-being is a state of harmony and alignment with our emotional, mental, and physical habits. All growth comes from a healthy foundation. We take responsibility for what we accept in our thoughts, feel in our hearts, and put in our bodies. I thought about that word, responsibility. We take responsibility. The pursuit of optimal health is essential to enjoying a long and active life. A state of well-being requires daily commitment, awareness, and consistency. Just as we choose to breathe more deeply for increased performance and vitality, we choose positive attitude, effort, and environments to thrive. In doing so, we inevitably let go of the things that aren't supporting our well-being. What we think, feel, and do shows on the outside. We proactively move our bodies to create more positive states. We follow through on our commitments and live what we teach, even when no one sees. By doing so, we are more fulfilled and confident in who we are. The example we set for ourselves inspires others to raise their standard and improve their well-being. Living it is who we are based on our daily habits. Breathing it is intentionally growing, choosing to raise our standards. Showing it is leading by example, demonstrating what is possible. So I thought that was super cool. And a lot of things came up for me about, on that first slide, like taking we're responsible. I'll go back to this and see, so that you can take a look at the words and see if anything stands out, for you. We're in alignment with emotional, mental, and physical habits. Like, what are your habits every single day, mentally, physically, emotionally, and are you in alignment with them? Like, are they ones that you say they're good habits and yes, I'm in alignment? Or maybe there are some things that are kind of challenging that are like, you know what, I've got this habit that I do X, Y, Z, and I don't want that to be a habit anymore. That's not in alignment with who I want to be, like who I'm trying to become. Taking responsibility for those thoughts, what you feel in your heart, what you put into your body. Do you fully take responsibility for that? The pursuit of optimal health, and health is not just physical, right? So in general, all of the different ways that we can be healthy, the pursuit of optimal health is essential to enjoying a long and active life. Talk to people all the time that are, a friend of mine's husband just died, of a heart attack, and he's my age. And he was in terrible health. And so it's do we take responsibility for pursuing optimal health so that we can live a long and active life? Daily commitment. Are we, committing with our awareness and, being consistent in our habits on a daily basis? I, for one, have not. So, and I do for spurts. There might be I'm all good, going hard, but I definitely have not been on a daily routine. And what I noticed when I was in Texas at this event is that this ism was truly being lived by other people within the company, that whether it was going for a walk in the morning, and not even a brisk walk, just I got my clothes on, I'm going for a walk before my first meeting, or yoga, or an all-out workout, a run, there was commitment and consistency from some of those people there on a daily basis to get up and move in the morning, like doing something. So choice, right? We choose to breathe more deeply for increased performance. We choose positive attitude, effort, and environments to thrive. Like, are we choosing the people that we spend time around that are supporting us to help us thrive in different areas of our lives? Like, we choose all of that. Adam, you were talking about coming into different groups, like men's groups, and it's like we've all heard that saying, the sum of the 5 people that you're around the most tells you who you are. Like, what are we choosing with regard to well-being of people that bring positivity to our lives? Letting go of the things that don't serve us anymore. Like, this does not contribute to my well-being. And whether it's a habit of someone else's that contributes to ours, or something that we're doing kind of on our own, what we think, feel, and do shows on the outside. And so I know everybody has probably met someone, or you come into contact with people where they just light up a room. It doesn't even need to be like how they look physically, as far as like being in good shape, but just kind of your entire well-being speaks to people when you walk into a place. And that has to do with energy. It has to do with your mental capacity, like willing to participate with people in conversation, following through on commitments, even though nobody's looking. Right? So what are the things that I know for sure, like when I was like in my Ice a Body challenge, I was all in the group and I wanted, people to see, because I was like doing this thing. But when I stopped and I took a little pause, I noticed that I was like, okay, I don't necessarily want people to see that I've kind of fallen off the wagon. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's what we do here. So am I living my commitments, even when nobody's looking, like to myself, for myself? Like, how am I showing up in that kind of a way? Setting an example for ourselves inspires others. So I know I mention Casey all the time, but I think the best ways that I've learned like more things in my entire life is from watching someone be an example. Not someone telling me, Chris, you need to do this, you need to do that, let me show you what to do. They just go do it. And I watch that, and that's how I learn, is because like someone's setting an example that shows it's actually what they're doing is working. They're actually I like the way that they're showing up for themselves, for the way that they're showing up in the world. And so really living it, based on what are the daily habits. So what stands out to you guys of this ism? One, do you think isms are cool? Like, do you like them? Do you think they're good? Like, do you see that maybe there's a place for them even in your coaching groups? Is it good to create standards for people to live by, for you to live by, so that you can be an example for other people on your teams that are following you? How do you feel about isms in general, and then this one that's particularly about well-being?
Oh, Tracy, you first.
The person with no volume, with no audio.
Can you go back to the first page?
Yeah. Okay, and just so you know, in the chat, are you seeing the chat? Tracy said, I find them to work and be a daily resource if you have them available as a reminder. Yeah. So you have to have them in front of you, right? So, I mean, same, like as I was looking through this, I was like, man, like I need to keep these up and like read them every day until they really become ingrained, because they sound great when you read it once, but like it's real easy to get off track and get off of the habit.
Where's your Dave MacArthur cards?
My 3x5s.
Where are they?
I don't have 3x5s.
Well, yeah, because you got yours printed on your little Fun Growth U cards now. You don't need them.
I don't know. And I've got whiteboards like all over my house.
um, I don't know if I'm a pro or a con against these things. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you went into a company and they started handing you out these things and you didn't like them, I mean, does that mean you don't like the company? Is that because everyone else is doing it? I mean, or do they give you these when you have your job interview and you read them and go, oh no, thank you?
I mean, I think it's like company, it's good to have like you could be a fit or not a fit for that company, right? Like they're trying to create a specific culture that says this is who we want to be. Here's where we want to go as a company, and here are the things that we think are going to help us get there. And so you might look at these and say, yeah, like this is not for me, then that probably isn't the company for you. And so for sure, I think they're looking for buy-in so that people can say like, we're all in this together, and this is how we like to live. Now, if there's, 1 out of the 10 that you're like, I don't really get down with that, like, I don't think that's a big deal. But, like I thought it was kind of cool, just kind of from an accountability standpoint to help people be like, you know what, this is how I want to show up.
Yeah, I think the words in it are great. I mean, I could probably shorten this thing up a few sentences where they keep putting,
Sure.
3 commas, but I mean, just, positive attitude and we're good. Go to the next one. But I did like the part where it said from a healthy foundation. I mean, I feel like when we hear the word clean eating all the time, I don't know what that is. There is no clean eating. Like organic food is dirty. I hate to tell you, it just is. I also like the word habits in here. I wrote that down too, but I don't see it. Oh, I wrote foundation first and then habits. I mean, I think to get to where you want to go, you have to have some of those physical, habits, mental habits, emotional habits. And if they're not good, then they have to change or it doesn't work. I mean, I would say, for the example that you gave about, it was really great while I was in the competition and then it was over. I feel like at that point, this is where people need to learn how to make new goals or to make new things instead of like, I'm going to eat donuts for a week goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, because then that is, nothing has changed. We talk about this all the time. You and I have about these people who have these surgeries and they learn nothing. They just get really skinny and have lots of body fat, and then there is like, they reach their goal. They're like, damn, that thing did work and I did it. And then they're stuck because they don't know how to make another goal or they don't know what, sorry. So I think it's just, I think the word habits is a very good word. I think maybe people with an addictive personality or something like that think it's a really bad word. So it's just in how you put it. The next one I wrote down was responsibility, but I think that goes along with what I just said. Like, yeah, and I think you talking about the group is a very great example of what should be done. Like we should be starting all kinds of groups for people, I would think, to not so much for accountability, just so there's a place that, there's a place to run, and not hide, like show your face and say, I got a problem, or, something to that effect, I think is really awesome. I like the word consistency on this page, but I don't know where it is. I just wrote it down. Oh, the state of well-being. I just like that word. I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with that sentence. On the next page where it says proactive to create more positive states, I think it's great that it's in a well-being, sort of context instead of just being, like Tony Robbins, like we're just going to be positive all the time. Because we obviously know it doesn't work like that, but I mean, that's where I think that I wrote the sentence down to, proactively. I mean, I think that is something that is another thing that's not taught in all this goal setting bullshit. There needs to be, I don't know how you set that up. Write it in a damn book, Chris. That's what you should do.
Whole chapter on proactivity.
Yeah. I mean, like when you don't feel like it or how you get back there, well, I guess we can go back to Tony Robbins just saying, like, change it. So I guess if that's how it could be done, then, I mean, I think it's easier for some than others, but that's just like when you and I started and we were like, hurry up, manifestations, hurry up, I mean, like, we're just, sometimes it takes a little time. I think, I don't know, where you can create more positive states, and I think it's like, I can use, Abraham Hicks, as another example of where she's just like, well, if you don't like that disc, just get on the next one. I think that's a great way. But I think if you can put that into a health book, or something like that, then that is awesome. Like, people don't know how to do that because it's easier to go through the drive-through.
Yeah, everyone was on the same schedule as far as like what time the day started, like at this event. So, you know what I mean? Like, breakfast was at whatever time, the first session started at whatever time. So everyone had the same amount of time to either get up and do something or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just interesting, to me to see like what people were consistent, that it was like, it doesn't matter that, the schedule might have changed from like their normal daily schedule, and not being at that event, but it was just like there was consistency that was going to happen every day. And so it was like, they proactively had clothes, set the alarm, knew that they were going to get up and do the do before anything else started that day.
Yeah, and I think they just follow the next sentence every day, no matter what, where it says you follow through on your commitments when no one's looking. I mean,
yeah.
This is just like where those people pack the clothes to work out and you think about it. That's the only.
And you're like, I should work out tomorrow.
Well, I only brought one pair of workout shorts. Shit.
Oh, yeah. I wonder, maybe I'll have time to do that when I get home.
Yeah, I think that's I think that where it says you're confident in who we are, I think you only become confident if you stick to your commitment and you do it when no one else is watching. I don't think there's any other way for it to work.
Yep. Well, because otherwise it's a story, right? Like you're saying, like, I'm being healthy, but if you're incongruent, or like this thing says, like, not in alignment with your habits, then you're not going to feel right, because you're going to be like, wait a minute, I'm telling myself one thing, like, that I want to do, that I know is the right thing to do, and then I'm actually doing something else.
Yeah. But I think that people also go into this well-being thing, since we're making that the word. They don't want it to be hard, or they don't, they want it to be some sort of easy thing, and you have to put some effort into it a little bit. I mean, if it is something that you've never done before, for sure,
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of came from an athlete background, so you wanting to chime in every once in a while is like, oh yeah, I can get back to that state and do it for 16 weeks and boom, done, But some people don't, they're not born with that, or I think they're born with it, they just don't know how to turn it on or use it.
Yeah. And I think that there is something to be said for, it's like something's better than nothing. Like I said, some of the people, their consistency was just a walk, but it's better than, you know what I mean? Like getting fresh air in your body, like moving the blood through your body. Like you might not be knocking it out like in the weight room, before you start the day or before your first meeting, but it's like, start somewhere.
Yeah, but don't you, I mean, I guess to me, mine has turned into, well, since I work at a gym, my excuses are very, I have to take days off just because I like to work out. But I would say this talk goes more into like my meditation, where it's like, if I miss in the morning, then my day is not so great. It's the same thing. Just being consistent in that part. But I don't know. I think, there's also, we have this group because there's eating disorders and people, who wake up hungry and, things that I've never felt before. So, I mean, it's just, you got to find what works for you.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think that goes with the, what we think, feel, and do shows on the outside. Like obviously what we do as far as eating, shows on the outside and what our body looks like, but like what we think, what we feel, that does too. In
Yeah.
the way that we show up in relationships and the way that, we're able to produce when it comes to work. I mean, it's like the whole gamut.
Yeah. What was I going to say about that?
You're talking about meditation.
Yeah. I
Shows
don't know.
up on the outside.
I just don't know.
Okay.
The other thing I wrote down was just the example I set inspires others. And I think that one's really good, but that's a lot of like what, have you been listening to the Saturday morning call with Lenny and Dave and Liddy?
Nope.
They've been talking a lot, like their wording has changed to be like being it's what you're putting in your body, an asset or a liability. That's where they've been taking a lot of their talks. Like everything you put in, is it an asset or is it a liability? Which to me goes very much to the point of where it says down here, you inspire others and raise their standard if you improve their well-being. But I mean, you got to be the example all the time, I think. If you're going to be the one to, I don't know, in my line of work, I feel like it's just kind of hard. Like, I still love donuts and pizza, but I mean, it's a fine line of when they get to go in if you're going to keep taking your shirt off and shit like that. But I also am, the one that preaches everything in moderation. Like, like I have 2 people who signed up last week and like, do I have to quit drinking? And I'm like, I mean, I don't know, how fast do you want to get to your goals? Is it that important? And then I give them it's so fun, Chris. You should start asking people all the time, but you're going to have to live it too. But when you start asking them if what they're putting in is a liability or an asset, it's a weird conversation because people are like, I know what that means. I know what that means. So I don't know. I think I think being intentional about what you put in your mouth changes when you really ask yourself that every time you sit down to eat.
It's the same thing with goal. We talked a lot about goals and vision at this retreat, and it's the same. It's like everything that we do is either moving us toward that goal and that vision that we have or away from it. So like when you look at your day, it takes on a whole different perspective of like, what are all the things I'm going to do today? Because when you're like, okay, well, if this is something that I say that I want, that's in my vision that I want more than anything in my life, but I'm not doing anything that's actually moving me in that direction. And it's the same with food, like what food you put into your body. Of thinking of it as like an asset and a liability. Like if you've got goals there, like the food is either serving you or not. Like it's one or the other. And, like you have to know, like it's okay if you're taking in some carbs a la a donut, if you're consciously making that choice and realizing that like, okay, this is something that is a liability.
Yeah.
It is not an asset today. It's
every damn time.
It is a liability. So, but like, and again, like in moderation, like acknowledge it, you know what I mean? Like do what you got to do. But yeah, when it gets out of control, that it's like, realize you're making that choice of like moving towards your goal or not. So Morgan, we were just talking about welcome, first of all. We were just talking about isms and how I had mentioned, with my new role on the Growth U team and like writing books, that at this last retreat, we got these things called isms that are basically like different standards that they've put together to build a culture. And this one that we're talking about today is called Live It, Breathe It, Show It, which is really about well-being in general. So like with your body, with physically, mentally, emotionally, and basically like a standard to kind of hold yourself to and to be the example for other people. So really kind of using this for ourselves in the way that we eat and commit to our own health and well-being and nutrition, as well as using it for, to be an example for other people to follow. And so what we did is I just kind of read through the ism, which is on the 2 slides, and I asked people to give feedback on like kind of what stands out for you. And I gave some examples of like when I was at the retreat, what I noticed about some people that, are consistent, that do have daily habits, that, are living in awareness with what their goals are and what they're working toward. And then, this one, like kind of doing things, committing to habits even when nobody's looking. So I kind of got vulnerable with my ISA body of, when I knew everybody was looking, I was all about, posting and everything. And when it was over and I wasn't really doing as much, I was like, yeah, we don't really need to post as much anymore. But really like how that alignment with our habits, and being congruent with who we say we want to be, develops that confidence in who we are and like allows other people to kind of follow us as an example that they want to model. So I don't know if anything stands out to you about any of that. Hi.
Well, yeah, of course. It all stands out. It always stands out. Just, anything I eat, I can tell either something makes me feel good or it makes me feel bad. And it's either physically feel bad or mentally feel bad. And then I have to think about it and then I have to make a choice. Am I going to eat that again? Or did it make me physically feel bad or am I more mentally upset with myself for eating it? And I haven't gone too far off track, but I've just been really comfortable at maintaining what I've lost because it's so easy to do and still eat like I like to be able to eat, which is more than one probably should. And, I still do my 2 shakes a day, but I'm eating too many snacks. And even my meal at dinner is, not in the 600 calories, but I'm still walking and I'm doing things. So I'm maintaining with just, I'm professional maintaining. But until I change some of those habits and go back to what I was doing when I was losing, and then there's the mental part, too, that comes in that I'm beating myself up for making those choices, but then I'm trying to say, well, it's okay, Morgan, you've done so well, you've lost 111 pounds, like it's okay, you're maintaining, and so then I'm making excuses for myself. So I'm just trying to find my well-being with what makes me physically feel good and mentally feel good about the choices that I'm making each day that's in a healthy balance so that I don't, because I get it, I was too, when I was losing and losing and losing, I'm posting about it every day. I'm in the gym, I'm doing those things and I'm happy and I'm congruent and I'm in alignment with that. And so the choices that I'm making each day are that. And then when I'm kind of not, I'm feeling bad about myself. I'm not making the healthy choices. The food that I'm eating is physically making me not feel as good as the food that I was eating at the other time. So then there's that. Even coffee, like when I was doing really well, I wasn't having a lot of coffee, and now I'm having 2-3 cups of coffee, creamer. And so there just has to be some type of balance that I have to find that I'm happy with all around. And I still have weight to lose. So that there's the reality of that, 175 pounds is at 5'4" is not a healthy weight for my body. And so I have to be honest about that too. That's, I still have to get pounds off to be my healthiest version, for myself and my son.
Yeah. I know I see, whether it's like I'm, receiving coaching on like my financial situation or coaching on creating a vision, for my life. It's like, I want to know that the person who's coaching me has seen results themselves, has lived it and is qualified to coach me. Like, I mean, if I'm going to like put myself in someone else's hands, you know what I mean? It's like, I want to make sure that I'm like, well, I don't want to take financial coaching from someone who's not in a good financial position. You know, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And so like, I just think about that too, with like my own habits, and just, you know, realizing that like, as you coach people, like, of course, everything in moderation, and people, you know, have ups and downs, but like, just the importance of like showing up and, you know, being consistent and being an example that people want to follow, like, especially when they're just getting started. You know, it's like, well, how many shakes a day do you have? You know, like, what do you think about the ionics? And it's like, well, I haven't drank any ionics in a while this week.
I don't miss ionics.
You know? So yeah, I don't know. I just did a lot of thinking on this one, and how it applies to me, you know, and like how to better show up in my life in different areas. So that, because one of the things on here is about living, where is that? The pursuit of optimal health is essential to enjoying a long and active life. Mm-hmm. And I was just talking about a friend of mine whose husband, I mean, he's my age, was in like really bad health and just died of a heart attack. Mm. And it's like, you know, I mean, people can die at any age, but just this idea of like, we take it for granted a lot. Like, do you want to live a long and active life? Or, you know, do you want to die early or be on the couch and not be able to move? I mean, you know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. You know, I know what that feels like. So yeah, I thought that was some good stuff. Mm-hmm. What else? Tracy has no audio, so she's been participating via chat.
Hi, yeah, actually, hello. Oh, there she is. It's only taken me 40 minutes to figure out how to get the stinking mic on. But now I was finally able to do that. I love these, what you're doing here, because I know that specifically I'm in a state of transition right now. And where you're saying, you know, the pursuit of optimal health, well, yeah, I mean, that's it. It's an active journey, and you've got to take one step at a time. But the important part is to actually take the step. And, you know, a state of well-being, I feel like my daily commitment to that, I am constantly seeking out something that will help enlighten my brain, turn a light bulb on, something that brings me higher during the day, and then I'm able to, I guess, provide and share, just kind of be that cheerleader for others, and do what you said in here, which is, you know, be able to inspire others. So they see, I think they see, or at least that's what they're telling me, is that they see that I am in this change. But, you know, I come home, and even tonight I'm on day 1 of the cleanse, and I'm having this big, huge salt craving, because I'm a salty. I'm not a sweet. I can't empathize with the donut craving, but I can. But you know, put a bag of chips in my hand, and yeah, I'll take that down. But it's not going to do me any good in the end, because it took me to where I am today. So, you know, just like what everyone is saying, it's actively making your choices of, is this for me or against me? How dense nutritionally is this going to be for me? What is it going to do for me instead of to me, is really what I think it is. But I love these. These are everything that you're putting together, and the isms. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what comes of it. So this is coming out on the website, is that correct? Or is it a separate area to enroll in?
Yeah, so this is so Growth U is who put together the Healthy Mind and Body program for Isagenix.
Right.
But they have other programs that are not related to Isagenix.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And so they are, creating more online education programs for the world, which, could include Isagenix people or not. And so as a company, they've put together these isms, to try to, form what they see as the most aligned culture, to be able to get them to what their vision is, like as a company. And so there's like, 10 of them. So this was just one of the isms that really stood out to me as I was on this retreat. Well, it wasn't a retreat. It was an event, like a production event. Because I was kind of watching what people were really living this ism, which was in alignment with the company's standards, and what people weren't. And like personally, where I was showing up after I read it, I was like, ooh, like how in alignment am I, in doing some of these things and showing up in this kind of a way. So it just, like I said, it really made me kind of think of LiveFULLy, and we talk a lot about both, nutrition and mindset and habits. And, I just wanted to get feedback and thought, it might be something that is good to like put up in the morning, like by your desk or as a reminder when you wake up in the morning, or maybe it's something else that just kind of helps you keep on track and stick to that daily, schedule or commitment that you've set. And it's got some good reasons of like why it's beneficial to do that.
Do you think that they would ever entertain maybe doing some type of push notification in LiveFULLy? That would have something like those to come up in the morning for people to be able to read?
That is an amazing idea. I love it. I mean, I know that Growth, like Isagenix, is probably coming up with their own marketing strategy. And so I don't know that it would be a part, that like it would be something that Growth U would do, but I think it's an amazing idea. And I would definitely, Morgan, or Adam, is there does Isagenix have like a feedback, like a place where people can say, here's something you should consider?
Yeah, I just don't remember where it is, but there is. You can make a post on Isagenix business, but I don't really think it gets seen by like the people. But there is a suggestions, like a corporate something.
Yeah.
We'll get that. But even if Growth U did an app, and it'd be huge too. Future. But that's a great idea, Tracy. Like when you said, I was like, wow.
Yeah, Growth U is definitely looking into like mobile apps that, helps you like track all of these different, like it tracks your, not just your nutrition, but it, your meditation time, like all of your goals. And so, I mean, I think this would be awesome if it was part of it that just did have like a daily, reminder or something.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know Tracy, like a lot of people set just like Google Calendar reminders, like with affirmations or just little sentence or two to pop up every single day at different points in the day to just kind of like bring your mindset back to a certain point. So, but I mean, you would have to obviously set those up yourself.
Yeah.
So,
well, cool.
All right. Any final thoughts on isms or well-being?
No, congratulations on on your acceptance.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll give you 3 minutes back. Thank you so much for joining, and we will resume next week.
Awesome.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.